Hello comic fans, here's Earl Grey. This will be just a quick video to inform my fellow Druillet nerds about my last acquisition in terms of Philippe Druillet. As you surely will know, Titan Books, the same publisher who gave us these pretty nice, overall pretty nice editions of Philippe Druillet's comics, recently put out their version of Elric, The Return to Melnibone, with Druillet's illustrations to that Michael Moorcock fantasy tale about some mythical knight. They put a chapter of some other artist into that book as well, who delivers obviously more generic, more usual kind of fare in terms of fantasy art, black and white art. I was not too interested in that stuff. Maybe I will get the book nevertheless. But for now, I thought, hey, there was some kind of eBay auction a while ago. I couldn't get that book at the time, but yeah, there was some kind of even more oversized edition of that particular Druillet comic. So I looked for it online, and very quickly I found it. There are still several of copies of this one here out there. So that's the main reason why I do this video here. Just to show you there's an alternative to the Titan book. And obviously the biggest advantage that comes to when it comes to this book here is that it's even bigger than these Titan books. I mean, the Titan books are obviously pretty big, but when you compare them to this older edition here, you see this is a lot bigger, and this is pretty important when it comes to, I mean, I don't tell you nothing new here if you're into Philippe Druillet, but when you look at the highly detailed art from Philippe Druillet, it's pretty important to have just the biggest version possible. And this is great. It's just the Philippe Druillet story, so it's 20 or 22 pages all in all. And yeah, quite honestly, it's a lot of money that I paid for it. I think 22 euros, so it's €1 a page, which is really on the borderline. But yeah, I'm borderline when it pretty much a borderliner when it comes to Philippe Druillet, as you know. So this was no real discussion for me. And maybe you can get this a bit cheaper. This is an edition from 1997. Originally it was published 1973, some copies. Later on they did a second edition of it. And jayde design in London. So, I don't think that you will get this book here for the story, which is pretty basic. The knight comes back to his castle after 1 year, just to find out that his evil cousin sorts of tried to betray him, and then a princess comes along, and finally our hero goes to bed with her. So that's the gist of the story, and quite frankly, not much more to it. Maybe some Michael Moorcock fan will correct me and say, hey, no, this is very much more complex and important. Maybe in the bigger scheme of things, but I'm not into Michael Moorcock's, or I haven't read Michael Moorcock at all, which is maybe a big loss for me. But yeah, I just want to get these ridiculous, bombastic, laden with pathos drawings of Philippe Druillet in the biggest size possible. Of course, some of these drawings are familiar to me because of my art book and other publications. Some were, I think, reused for some illustrations in the German Schwermetall, Metall Hurlant, heavy metal. I think they used this here, this drawing, as the cover illustration for the Titan book. And I really can see why. I love these gnomes down there. Honestly, in terms of production qualities, this book here is maybe not the best example of its kind, because it's more or less 6 sheets of paper, oversized sheets, and stapled together in the middle here. And the cover is some kind of plastic feeling soft cover, with a lot of dings and dangs and creases here due to Amazon shipping. But it's not easy, I guess, to ship this oversized stuff here. And yeah, usually I don't mind little flaws like that, but when it comes to Druillet, I'm a bit more picky, or pickier. Yeah, but the reproduction in and for itself is great, and pretty flawless. So if you're willing to spend the money for some pages of great Druillet art that tell a loosely interesting story, go for it. Basically, it's everything in it that you need for a fantasy saga and Druillet comic. Huge dragons, lonesome fighters, ugly gnomes, fantastic architecture and scenery, and of course the damsel that you come to in the end, and to give you some sense in this chaotic world, even though it's of course highly endangered at the same time by some evil, nihilistic beings or entities. I found this picture here particularly interesting because for me it's almost a summary of Druillet's worldview, or aspects of Druillet's worldview, with this gnome that is fixated on this cross, more or less cross-like contraption here. So there is some kind of Jesus Christ vibes to him, and the universe at its heart, or his heart. Yeah, just bizarre. And on the other hand, yeah, Druillet always had some problems to draw normal faces. That's nothing new as well. So, but that doesn't change my devotion and my admiration of Druillet's art at all. Okay, folks, that's all for now. If you ponder about getting maybe the Titan edition of this Elric book, you now know there's an alternative out there. Get this instead of the Titan book, or maybe even better, both of them. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.